In the world of professional wrestling history, few figures were as outspoken about the dark underbelly of the industry as superstar Billy Graham. A trailblazing performer who redefined what a professional wrestler could look like, Graham's legacy in the ring was undeniable. However, outside of it, he became a vocal critic of the industry that once celebrated him, particularly when it came to steroid use and the alleged involvement of Dr. George Zahorian and the WWF in pushing him down a dangerous path. But according to Graham, that image came with a cost. As the WWF prioritized larger-than-life physiques to sell tickets, the pressure to maintain and even enhance one's appearance was enormous. Wrestlers of the era didn't just compete in the ring. They competed in the gym, on the posters, and in the eyes of promoters who favored the most impressive specimens. Graham claimed that the expectation to maintain his Herculean build led him to excessive steroid use, which, he alleged, was not just encouraged, but facilitated by the industry's inner circle, including Dr. George Zahorian. More on that later. Before the Hulkster ran wild, before the Nature Boy stylin' and profilin', before The Rock laid the smackdown, there was one man who changed everything. A bodybuilder, a loudmouth, a showman, the man who was the business before the business even knew it. His name was Wayne Coleman. But let's be real, that doesn't exactly scream larger-than-life wrestling legend, does it? Sounds more like a guy who sells used cars. But Graham wasn't just a man with big muscles and bigger words. He was a revolution. And also, let's be real, probably the only guy who could wear tie-dye and still look like he could snap you in half. Born in 1943, Wayne Coleman was a natural athlete. Football, boxing, weightlifting. If it involved muscle and competition, he was in. And just like many wrestling icons of the past, he was inspired by two things: pumping iron and getting paid. His love for bodybuilding led him to Venice Beach, California, the mecca of muscle. He trained with legends like Arnold Schwarzenegger, and trust me, if you can keep up with Arnold in the gym, you're already larger than life. Picture it, a young Billy Graham, bench pressing his way to greatness, while Arnold stands nearby saying, "Yeah, you need more protein." Under the guidance of legendary trainer Stu Hart, Coleman took his first steps into the squared circle, and by steps, we mean being stretched, twisted, and bent into shapes even a contortionist would find unsettling. Stu Hart's dungeon was not for the weak, and young Wayne Coleman quickly learned that wrestling was about more than just looking good. It was during this period that Wayne Coleman became Billy Graham, a name inspired by the famous evangelist. But let's be honest, if anyone was going to convert an audience, it was this guy. It wasn't just about the name. Billy Graham needed an identity, something larger than life. Enter superstar Billy Graham, creation that was part bodybuilder, part rock star, part pro wrestler, and 100% pure charisma. With his tie-dye gear, bleach blonde hair, and endless supply of one-liners, superstar Billy Graham revolutionized the wrestling promo. He wasn't just talking, he was performing. He made you believe that he was the greatest thing since sliced bread, and honestly, who were we to argue? Graham's in-ring style was as unique as his look. He wasn't flying around the ring like a luchador or chain wrestling like a technical wizard. No, superstar Billy Graham was all about power, bear hugs, clotheslines, and brute force. But let's face it, when you look like a real-life action figure, you don't need fancy flips. Superstar Billy Graham's biggest moment came in 1977 when he shocked the wrestling world by defeating Bruno Sammartino for the WWF Heavyweight Championship. This was unheard of. Bruno was the man, the legend, the undisputed king of the Northeast wrestling scene. And here comes Graham, strutting in with muscles for days and a mouth that could sell sand in the desert. Graham's championship reign wasn't just a title run, it was a glimpse into the future. He was the prototype for what wrestling would become. Without Graham, there's no Hulk Hogan, no Jesse the Body Ventura, no Rock, no Cena. He was the original sports entertainer before sports entertainment was even a thing. Unlike traditional champions before him, he wasn't about pure wrestling ability. He was about presence, personality, and showmanship. He defended the title against legends like Dusty Rhodes, Gorilla Monsoon, and Chief Jay Strongbow. Every night, he was the main event, drawing massive crowds. Despite his massive popularity, Graham's reign came to an end on February 20th, 1978, when he lost the title to Bob Backlund. The decision to replace Graham with Backlund, a clean-cut technical wrestler, was controversial. Even Graham himself argued that the company should have turned him into a babyface instead of taking the belt off him. Graham's loss marked a shift in WWF's direction, and many fans believe that the company missed an opportunity to capitalize on the superstar's growing popularity. Instead of embracing the new era of larger-than-life charismatic champions, they went back to the traditional mold. After losing the title, Graham's career took a downward spiral. He left the WWF in frustration, working in various territories, and even experimenting with different personas. He returned in the early 1980s with a new look, shaved head, martial arts, inspired gear, but the magic of the original superstar was hard to replicate. Graham made another return to WWF in 1986, this time as a babyface. Unfortunately, years of wear and tear had caught up with him. His hip issues severely limited his in-ring ability, and his run was cut short. Instead of competing, he transitioned into a managerial and commentary role, offering his larger-than-life personality in a different way. Getting back to the accusation he made against the WWF and Dr. Zahorian. Dr. George Zahorian was a Pennsylvania-based physician who worked as a ringside doctor for the WWF in the 1980s. He became notorious for supplying wrestlers with anabolic steroids, painkillers, and other performance-enhancing drugs. While steroid use in professional wrestling was an open secret, Zahorian's name gained infamy during a federal investigation into the illegal distribution of steroids. Graham was among the many wrestlers who later came forward to speak out against Zahorian's role in the industry. According to Graham, Zahorian didn't merely offer steroids as an option. He was a pipeline, supplying wrestlers with a steady stream of performance-enhancing drugs to maintain their chiseled physiques. Graham alleged that Zahorian's close relationship with WWF higher-ups created an environment where steroid use wasn't just normalized, it was, in some cases, expected. Billy Graham's claims extended beyond Zahorian. He directly accused the WWF of fostering a culture where wrestlers felt compelled to take steroids to survive in the business. Graham alleged that during his prime, steroid use was not just widespread but encouraged, and that the WWF turned a blind eye, or worse, actively facilitated the drug's distribution. One of Graham's most damning claims was that Vince McMahon and other WWF executives were fully aware of Zahorian's activities. He suggested that Zahorian wasn't operating in secrecy. Rather, he was providing a service that was, at the very least, unofficially sanctioned by those in power. Graham also pointed to the physical and psychological toll of his years on steroids. After years of heavy steroid use, his body was ravaged by joint pain, hip replacements, and other severe health complications. He placed much of the blame on the culture that WWF had cultivated, arguing that he had been coerced into a lifestyle that would ultimately cost him dearly. Despite this, his warnings about steroid abuse and its consequences remain a critical part of wrestling's history. Graham's accusations against Zahorian and the WWF were instrumental in sparking conversations about drug use in professional wrestling, and his personal struggles underscored the real-life consequences of a culture that prioritized aesthetics over health. Superstar Billy Graham's accusations against Dr. Zahorian and the WWF were more than just a bitter ex-wrestler's grievances. They were a glimpse into the dark reality of professional wrestling in the 1970s and 80s. His warnings about steroids, while controversial, proved to be prophetic as the industry was forced to reckon with its past. Despite his later struggles with health and his rocky relationship with WWE, Graham was finally inducted into the Hall of Fame in 2004. His legacy was cemented, and he was recognized as one of the most influential figures in wrestling history. Superstar Billy Graham wasn't just a wrestler, he was a trailblazer. His look, his style, and his ability to sell a match with his words set the standard for generations to come. He may have been too sweet to be sour, but his impact? That's too big to be ignored. Though Graham's relationship with the WWE remained rocky, his impact on the conversation around health and drug use in wrestling is undeniable. Whether seen as a hero, a hypocrite, or something in between, one thing is certain. Superstar Billy Graham's voice was one that could never be ignored. This was the story of Superstar Billy Graham, wrestling's first true superstar. And if he were here, he'd probably tell you himself, "Accept no imitations, baby, because there's only one superstar." Well, I hope you enjoyed today's video. If you enjoyed it, you can press the subscribe button so you can be alerted when my next ones come out. Also, if you can hit the like button, it would be appreciated, so it can get pushed out to more people just like yourself. But until next time, I hope you have a great day.